It's River City Convention and Visitors Bureau have their way, there's gonna be another 3% in addition to it. So it'll be 21% right off the bat.
So I paid in Northern Beach last year.
Okay,
It's just the way it is.
I'm assuming like any other business, that gets passed on to the customer.
Right, which is fine, that helps sort out the riprap even more so.
Yeah, but the money that's been coming in here from outside, okay, they're, you know, when you have a house, next to the launch down at, Torch River Bridge, that's appraised at $190,000, and somebody pays $965,000 for it, and then rebuilds a house. That's an issue that affects all of us. I mean, my appraisal went up like 50 grand on my property this year.
Your assessed value.
So,
You want the assessed
by
value.
taxable value.
Your taxable will only go up so high every year. They
Yeah.
can't. You
Well,
want
I
your
mean-
assessed value to go up as high as it can.
Yeah, this was,
Well, that's state liabilities. I mean,
Cost construction.
yeah, cost of construction,
Percent in the last 10 years.
insurance, house insurance is all based on the construction.
and it squeeze not the little guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, as soon as the clerk's ready, we'll begin. We will adjourn. 11:45. Get people out of here. The parade.
Well, we had a couple people already connect to the planning commission meeting, which I had to end in order to start the township meeting.
Okay.
So they got kicked out and I don't know if they'll be able to get back in. So that's still an issue. Also, there is a new Wi-Fi for this building.
Okay.
We don't have the password for it, so I can't connect to it.
Oh, that's that one. Okay, because the other one, was Centaurus back there.
So, yeah.
Centaurus should still be operating, right?
Mm-mm.
It isn't.
It's trying to connect to the signal at the township hall and it's too low of a signal for here, so
Yeah,
it might be
that's the-
spotty.
That's the bridge antenna they want to set up here.
Mhm. Right here, this is finally.
Okay. We started at certain point, starting at 6.
Ready to open whenever you are. It's a recording.
Should have printed those in color with this. There it is. We're ready?
Yeah, this is ready.
Okay, I'm gonna call a meeting to order at 10:03. Remain the pledge. The pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call, recognition of visitors. The agenda consists of this STR review period.
All right, Greg Bradley,
Yes.
Tom Backers, Christine Johnson here, Joanne Childs absent, Albert Keys absent.
Okay. Agenda doesn't need approval. There are no minutes. Doesn't get out anyway. And public comment, if you have something to say, please be brief. Get to the point quickly, so we can move on.
I can't keep it brief, so.
Can't keep it brief.
Can we allow some time at the end of the session?
Well, you have something to say, Mr. Packer? Okay.
Can we allow time at the end of the session?
Okay, so where we left off,
Mr. Backers?
yes,
Hi. Can we allow time at the end of the session?
Yes.
Now?
yes,
That'd be great.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, hopefully if we can get through this. Okay, see if I can get this. I'm just working on that. Got 601 here. Back one. Okay, the red letter, under short-term rental, I believe this is definitions. There was. Okay, the, minimum of, not less than 7 days was eliminated. Okay, that was, I think, our last order of business. Zoning administrator. Zoning board of appeals. Ordinance 22 is referenced. Okay, 601 license required. 6.01.
On my notes, it says we stopped at a license application. But that's okay, because we can go back through this and make sure we're on the same page.
That's
Yeah.
when,
6.03,
or 503,
so 6.03.
6.03, we'll get there. Okay. Under 601, item 1. I have highlighted anywhere. That was stricken, that word. So that's correct on the new draft.
I think, I have a change in 6.01. Actually. I think I took that from the attorney's recommendation. So mine is different than yours. It says,
Under license required.
yeah. Located within Clearwater Township. Mine is just property instead of dwelling unit, but it says, or their agent shall not rent or allow to be rented. And yours says shall not operate or utilize. It's quite different.
Okay.
Oh, wait, that's yours. I've got to figure out which one's yours and which one's mine.
Wow, I've got yours in my other hand.
Yeah, this one I think is mine. Yeah, because it's got all my highlight on it.
Okay,
So.
what's
All right.
the change?
Owner of any. An owner of property located, and yours says any dwelling unit. And he, which I think any dwelling unit is fine. The attorney said property, but
So,
located within Clearwater Township. Okay, so the addition is or their agent.
where does that go? Okay, I would say unless the owner or the owner's authorized agent has obtained a short-term rental license.
6.01, yeah, it's an owner of any dwelling unit located within Clearwater Township or their agent.
Okay, first sentence,
Yeah,
or agent.
shall not. He said operate or utilize their property
Right,
as a short-term rental, and you said shall not rent or allow to be rented. And then you have the,
okay, so you
I
want
don't know.
to stick another sentence in there, or just leave it the way it is? Okay, an owner of any dwelling unit located within Clearwater.
I just want to make sure everything that the attorney suggested is
Or their,
stated. Or their agent.
or the owner's agent.
Unless owner.
Okay, shall not rent or allowed to be rented a dwelling unit or a portion thereof to another person for less than 30 nights at a time, unless the owner or the owner's
Okay.
authorized agent has obtained a short-term rental license for that dwelling unit in accordance with the requirements of this ordinance.
He just didn't put the time frame of rental in there, so that's fine, as long as we add or their agent. in there.
Okay. The license issued by the township zoning administrator is required prior to the rental of any dwelling unit for a period of less than 30 days. The license shall be valid for a period of 3 to 5 years, and that simply was to stagger the licenses as they expire and come up for review.
And that should have had the statement, whichever occurs first, added to that.
Okay,
That was what the attorney recommended.
Okay.
Cause you know, we're gonna send this to him and he's gonna say,
whichever first.
mhm.
All right, so.
So
that would
3 to
be-
5 years or until a change in ownership,
That's
whichever
just an
occurs.
administrative.
At line 3.
Yeah, line 3 at the very end, whichever occurs first. Okay, and the question was, why would it renew annually if it's, the license doesn't renew?
Right, I
So the
didn't
license
realize it was
requirement
a
is
license
an-
fee and application fee, two
Right,
different things,
Right,
right?
they're two different things. Okay, basically, the license fee is to, set up and operate the administrative end of things. Okay, permits, licenses, the guest rules of conduct, which would be required to be, and a copy of, the nuisance ordinance and the, short-term rental ordinance, basically presented to the owner
Mhm.
so that he understands what the rules of engagement are here. Okay, and, if renter, I won't call him a tenant because a tenant rents for more than 30 days. If a renter is causing problems, then the nuisance ordinance is there, for reference for the code enforcement officer or the zoning administrator to issue a citation, so the guy knows what the problem is. So, you know, the owner is aware of what the issue is with the renter. Okay, so now we're down to 602.
Yep,
Okay, this one.
and I renumbered mine so that one is now the 5 year.
602. All right, we struck the, item number 1 because it's repeated from, the top. License is required. And 601. And I moved, I didn't correct the
And I
number.
remember we had quite a lot of discussion about the 5 year, 4 year, 3 year, and did we resolve that we just wanted to leave it as that?
You're talking about the period.
Yeah,
Actually, you know, if you're looking at this could be construed as discrimination.
mhm,
Okay, well, what I was trying to do here was to emphasize the fact that we're trying to protect the legacy owners here,
right,
the people that have been here for generations. And the 4 year period, basically for Michigan residents, a lot of people have summer homes up here
mhm,
that, you know, live and work downstate. The 3 year period, okay, is for the out-of-staters. Basically, so that they come up to review first. And if there's an issue, because most of these are VRBO, Airbnb, advertisers, and, you know, we have people from Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, New Jersey. And, I believe there was, so you understand, they're there for the money.
yeah,
think.
I see the reason why,
You're not discriminating against getting a license.
No.
It's just a time period.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Right,
I don't see this be an issue because the reason it's there is once this is in place, you don't have everybody trying to renew at the same time.
Right.
It just spreads the load out.
Right, and then, you know, as they come up, you're looking at, basically, I believe it's a 4-year license period that's standard. So, you know, every year there will be X amount of licenses up for review and renewal. And it spreads the workload out. Yes, sir.
And Tom, what's their definition of a resident?
Definition of a resident is
How are you guys referring to that?
somebody that lives, their primary residence is in Clearwater.
So you're gonna have to rewrite this whole,
Okay, yeah, well, a definition, maybe we should put a resident definition.
Oh,
would be a homestead,
Uh,
homestead.
yeah, if it's homestead exempted, it's primary residence. So, yeah, and.
No, those are two different things. You can homestead a property anywhere and live in a different property. Those are not equal. I could live here in Clearwater Township, have a property in Grand Rapids, and homestead the property in Grand Rapids, but live here and vote here.
Well, what I'm saying
Which are
is,
just not homestead tax.
Yes, I'm paying non-homestead taxes here, absolutely.
but this is referring to township residents.
But you said homestead and that has to do with taxes and everything else, so I would.
Yeah, so there's a
Well, he
difference.
said that they're living there.
Living and homestead are two different things.
Well,
right.
Yes, they are. They absolutely are. Homestead is a tax issue. Living there is different. And
Right.
I can live here and vote here, but I can homestead a property somewhere else in the state.
Right. So basically, it would be a registered voter in Clearwater Township.
So they don't have to be. They don't have to live, pay registered voter, that
Right.
makes sense.
So we would check, basically check the QVF.
Yeah.
The qualified voter file. And if your name's on it, then you are considered a resident. Okay, so
okay,
it's
so that definition would include,
qualified voter in Clearwater Township.
Registered voter.
Good point. Thank you. And then, so that would apply to, Michigan residents too. Would be a qualified voter or registered voter in the state of Michigan.
oh,
Okay, and then, all others.
are you adding that to that statement there? Or are you adding that to definitions of resident?
Actually, I would put it right in here. A
Okay.
5-year license period shall be reserved for a registered voter in Clearwater County.
Okay, and then the one for Michigan is,
We'll
You'll-
finesse the wording,
okay,
but we'll leave it here. Okay, so those are fine. Until we get a court challenge. Yes, sir.
The original law says you have to be a registered voter. You don't have to vote.
Oh, this is
That's your
true.
Right.
That's true.
That's a totally different deal. You can't do that. That'd be discrimination against a person that doesn't want to be registered.
Okay,
It's true.
What about, we live at, like, you're 6 months out of the year. I mean,
Mr. Packer.
and or.
what's that?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Might I suggest to speed this process along that you just make that a random deal and after 5 years it goes away anyway. So just as the applications come in, pick a number out of a hat, 3, 4, 5, whatever you want to do, just make it random for everybody. Assign them a number when they come in and randomly generate a number and you renew in 3 years, you renew in 4, I renew in 5, it's simple, it's clean, it can't be challenged.
Or just make it
There-
dwelling.
There's no indication of discrimination there, just
Okay,
make it random, and get it.
so basically, the licenses would be issued in a 3, 4, 5 order continuously.
Very good.
You have someone that's gonna look up and compare, are they registered voters, are they registered voters in Michigan? You know, and then are they gonna turn in the proof and all of that?
Okay, let's,
So you're planning on having all of the licenses come due in January?
uh,
I mean, they'll all be renewed at the same
basically,
time?
you would have to pay your fee for the operation of that, for that calendar year by January first.
But not by when, so if I apply in July, could
So you got October, November, a full quarter. Okay, to issue the licenses, all right, and once the. Once the application reviewed and approved, okay, then you would pay by January first that year's fee. Okay, and part of that would go to the state evidently. So if we did this, basically on a rotational basis.
Just have
Rotating
to
3, 4, and
rewrite
5
that
years.
section.
3, 4, and 5 year licenses for the initial licensing period. I'll have to. Does that sound better?
And then when they reapply, is it continued to the, on the
And
3,
then
4,
when they
and 5?
reapply, it'd be a standard 4 year, but they'll expire and come up for review by the
Okay.
zoning administration. If there's-
Renewals is always 4 year,
Right,
a renewal is always 4 year.
always 4 years. We're just doing this to stagger the process.
That should probably be stated in there that the renewal is every 4 years. I don't remember reading that anywhere,
What's that?
the renewal.
The renewal,
I don't remember reading that, so.
I thought I had it in here somewhere. So that should actually be, up here. Side of the boat,
Oh. So that,
and that's gonna get you into a legal fight. So. But it would have to be, something pretty egregious. Not regular license.
it's just gonna keep disconnecting because the Wi-Fi signal is not strong enough.
So these people that are on Zoom, do you have any?
There's nobody on there right now that I can tell.
Okay, yeah, we gotta get our. Things in a situation straight out here. Yes, sir.
Maybe an addendum, but do you have to put in what the process is about how to pay the fees or where is it by internet, is it by mail, is it by, does that have to be included anywhere? What the process is?
As far as,
Delivered to the township office or?
basically, that would be a good question. The treasurer has, set up a credit card payment system.
Oh, that's right then.
Okay,
That is not set up for,
That's just taxes though.
okay. That's what I'm saying, you know, that might be possible for this. It's one of those unanswered questions, but basically a check by mail or payment in person. So. Basically, that would be the same as pulling a land use permit. You know,
So you're talking about getting rid of the 2, 3, 4 and having all these 4 year renewals?
what's we're talking about staggering?
Staggering based on.
Staggering the initial licenses, just spread the workload out. Okay,
so just a random staggering, so.
yeah, it would be a random thing. If you're the, first one, to apply for a license, you get a 3-year license. Person behind you would get a
Regardless
4-year
where I-
license.
regardless where I live.
What's,
Yes,
Regardless of where I live, if I live.
right, and yeah, we're not looking at this, as to where you live. What I was trying to do with this was just
So they don't all renew at once.
I understand that,
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, but I was trying to protect the legacy owners and give them, basically a shot at a longer license because they've been doing it here for so long. Okay, and the problems seem to be, shall we say, owners that do not live here. Okay, but, so, and then that's further on down the line in violations and restrictions. So anyway, this whole section here, down to item number 5, has to be rewritten. Okay, so, now we're at 5.
Well,
The license shall be issued within 60 days of receipt of a completed and approved application. That would be the zoning administrator's function. If there's anything that's incomplete or wrong with the application, he would basically notify you and have it corrected.
And the attorney added to that and payment of license fees.
Yeah, and case, okay, and,
Oh, you have that and license fees paid, but,
well, I'll tell you, and license fees paid.
oh, I just changed the wording on that, I'm sorry. And license fees paid.
6, the license shall indicate the maximum number of guests. Okay, now that depends.
That word needs to be changed because your renters can have guests. So it needs to say renters.
Okay,
Are you, if that's what you're talking about.
well, yeah, well, basically, the renter is the person that signs the
Mhm.
contract.
Mhm.
Okay, so renters, national number of renters and guests.
So you're saying the renters can only have so many guests
Right,
during
if
the
they're gonna be
day?
staying there, that's a guest. Okay, somebody that
Is
shows
that
up, somebody that shows up for a barbecue and leaves and doesn't sleep there is not a guest.
In our definition, didn't we have guests? No, I guess we do, no, we did not, but there was discussion on guests in different places.
Well, I think that falls underneath number of bedrooms you got.
Yeah, yeah.
Right,
So-
Where that is the maximum occupancy,
yes.
that covers everybody.
Yes, so basically what we're trying to do is according to your A, number of bedrooms, and B, your septic system capacity, which is a major issue here.
So you don't wanna say
Okay.
renters
We're
or,
capping the number of people you
Guests,
can allow
yes,
to
occupancy.
occupy that place overnight at any one time.
so you need to change that to occupancy like Dan suggested.
Maximum number of occupants.
Occupants, okay.
So we get rid of renters and guests and just put occupants in there.
Okay.
All right. Number 7, license and license holder shall be subject to all standards and penalties of this ordinance for short-term rentals. Licenses expire on December 31st of the final calendar year of the license, or upon failure to pay the annual registration fee, two different things,
Mhm.
or upon transfer of ownership. Applicants may apply for a license at any time. Okay, that's kind of wordy, for a license effective in the same calendar year.
You don't really need to say that.
Okay, I gotta fix that. Applicants may apply for a license anytime in a calendar year.
Yeah,
So a new owner that wants to anytime in the same calendar year, just strike for a license effective.
oh,
Applicants may apply for a license or license renewal. Beginning no sooner than October 1st of the upcoming calendar year. Okay, so actually, a new applicant in the middle of the calendar year. May have to wait. We're gonna have to figure out, because we wanna cap. We wanna cap the number of STRs in R1. Period, or the number of STRs. So that we're not creating a monster here. So I don't know how to handle an applicant that buys a piece of property up here, slaps a manufactured home on it, and says he wants to use it for an STR, when we already have issued X amount of licenses. That creates a new license. Okay. So if we try to put a cap on these things, I'm thinking we're trying to protect the neighborhoods here.
Well, you
Okay,
have stated in there that.
So the
Next one is that it'll be capped on January 1st, 2025. So that's your cap right there.
right, so any new applicant would increase that cap if we approved it. Okay, the only exception to that would be, if we've established a cap and we revoke a license, that would make a new license available.
Right, so,
Other communities have created a wait list.
What's that?
Other communities have created a wait list.
Yeah, so we have a wait list. It would have to be reviewed separately. And the thing about it is if it was in any district other than a one. Okay, that might be an exception. Okay, for agricultural, recreational, but the thing about it is you still have to comply with zoning ordinance 22. Which means if you're gonna put 3 or 4 houses on a piece of property, that ain't gonna fly.
It's all sky, right? We already have.
so your cap is gonna have to reflect those differences.
Right, well, actually, it already does. If we cap everything, okay, it would be on a case by case basis. And especially in R1.
But if you cap it, you can't go past that cap.
Right,
So if you cap it for all,
so we create a waiting list and somebody waits for a license to drop out of the picture.
right. Which means if they're not in R1, they still have to wait.
Right. Okay,
So we're saying whatever the cap is on January 1st will apply to the whole township.
right. That's what it says. The number of licenses issued shall be capped on January 1st, 2025. So if there's an issue, it'll be the next board's. It'll be the next board's problem to either amend
Yeah,
this,
throw it in there.
okay, or stick to their guns.
You wanna make a backdoor that you could change it with the vote of the trustee? Increase that number?
Well, the ordinance can always be.
The ordinance can always be amended, but that's a process too. So, and that requires a public hearing, as this will. You know, so, yeah, if you're gonna amend the ordinance, okay, everybody has their 2 cents worth at a public hearing. And then the new board makes a decision on whether or not to alter this document or leave it as it is.
Sounds like.
And face the consequences. So, you know, if somebody wants to take the township to court, then. So we basically have to make sure that, we've got as much legal ground covered in here as we can. Without getting too constrictive.
Just some information, in the research I have done, caps have been set at 0, where they're not allowed at all, which we're not doing, and up to 10%, which can be a lot depending on the community. And most caps, most communities are sitting somewhere between 2 and 5% of residential homes, though that percentage can then be turned into, or licensed or apply for license for STRs. That's a generality, that's a broad brush, but that's what I found out from my
Okay,
research.
so this is why I put this in here. This gives us a reference, a starting point,
Right.
okay?
That's-
Now, the next board, if they wanna look at R1 individually and say, X amount of houses in R1 percentage wise, or cap it there but that's not our problem. What I'm trying to do is establish a baseline. So. Okay, is everybody,
On the sentence there, applicants may apply for a license or license renewal beginning no sooner than October first. You say of the upcoming calendar year. Are you in that wording? That sounds to me like you're saying in the next year.
right? Okay, no sooner.
So
What
if
I'm-
your license expires in December, and you can't apply until October of the following year, that's not, that.
Well, what I'm saying is.
Timeframe isn't working out there.
The administrative process,
But it's
basically,
just not the upcoming year, it's the year of its expiration.
right, but what I'm saying is, all right, the license holder
Mhm.
should know when his license expires.
Right.
The zoning administrator knows when his license expires.
Mhm.
Yes, that he is in the last year of his current contract. Okay, he needs to apply by October or after October first.
Yeah, I get that, it's just the upcoming calendar year that messes that up.
Well, the thing about it is that gives basically 90 days for the.
I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying,
We're out for
it's the current year,
October 1st for the upcoming.
For the upcoming,
for, yes, not of, but for.
yes, thank you. That's basically what I wanted to, so, that gives the board and the zoning administrator on an expiring license the chance to review the situation.
Actually, that doesn't make sense
Doesn't make sense
either,
either?
no, because it's a 4-year renewal.
Why wouldn't you stagger when the licenses come due?
When they're still gonna be staggered.
But it says they expire on December 31st.
Yeah, and so you have 3-year expirations, you have 4-year
I
expirations,
understand that,
and then you
but-
add 4 years to the 3, you add 4 years to the 4, you add 4 years to the 5.
Yeah.
So it'll
Why don't
still,
you do it on based on when they apply. I bought a house, I applied in June. I get
Okay,
it.
let's change that for the upcoming.
And then it would be every.
License period.
That's what I was saying. Let's do it. Okay.
Okay, for the upcoming license period. That's on expiring licenses. Township may, once we get this sorted out, provide for the ability to submit applications electronically. And if that happens, then credit card payments would probably be involved in that process too. Okay, the caretaker. Don't know if that shall be available to respond to renter and or neighbor concerns. To take remedial action to respond to any violation of this or other ordinance.
that needs to be moved, that has nothing to do with license.
Okay, so that should probably go down to conduct
Probably, yes.
standards.
Violations?
Um.
If I could have just a little bit of your time, on number 9, there, the number of licenses issued shall be capped on January 1st, 2020. So we really have no idea what percentage of the township will be allowed to rent short term. My concern is that the short-term rentals are highly concentrated at the Sandra, let's just call it that area of the township. And this is an area of many non-conforming lots, and they're stacked on top of each other, so we actually could potentially be in a situation where we have in that area of the township, maybe 30% of the residences or the homes are used as short-term rentals. And being small, non-conforming lots, and we're using, everyone has a septic system, 100% of our drinking water comes from that system, from groundwater there. And I think that really needs to be addressed, the concentration. in that area of non-conforming properties. Because it's highly concentrated in that area. That's an issue for us. We live there. That's where my drinking water comes
I understand that. So the reason for the cap is so that at that point, you know what you've got, you know where they are.
from. But it could be 30 people.
Okay, I understand that. So rather than use a percentage, let the next board take a look at this. Okay, now, which ones do you revoke? Okay, I tried your 1,000-foot rule.
That was only a suggestion of what.
Right, I looked at that and I said,
And I wasn't suggesting that that be the case.
I backed
But
off.
here's something you might consider, that as these licenses expire, they're not transferred and they do just that, they do expire, they don't go on to another owner.
Okay, that would be
So
something
gradually
for,
over time, say we end up with, you might get 120 permits from this initial. That's 10%, 120 is 10% of our community here. So let's, over time, let's bring that down to that.
okay,
The average really is about 3 or 4%.
say,
What Mr. Sorensen.
January 1st, 2025. I won't be here. Okay,
I
But
would,
I will.
I will too.
I understand that, but what I'm saying, the next board, okay, once, if this gets approved, gets in place, now we go to the planning commission,
And the state doesn't say what the cap is.
right? And we can say, how do we fix this? Okay, because we know we have a problem. That's why, that's what this is all about. Okay? We need to take initial steps to put this in place so that we can do something.
sounds to me like. we're
What the
creating
fix,
a
what the
problem that we
remedy,
need to
what the
repair.
remedy is, okay, is basically down the road. Okay, we don't wanna punish somebody that's basically been doing this for decades, just because we wanna put a percentage on R1. Okay, that's gonna create another problem, and it won't be, this
And how
goes
do
into
you-
effect
how
on
do you
January 1st,
choose-
2025.
Who
This
doesn't
board
get
won't,
renewed? How do you choose who doesn't get renewed?
Right,
You can't
exactly.
discriminate.
so his suggestion should come out of the planning commission to the
But
new
you can,
board.
excuse me, you can, she said you can't discriminate, you could still set a cap. The initial number.
Right.
For yours, it can be over that cap, but when they leave, there's no new license.
Right, there's no license renewal.
So if your cap is X, but you have X plus 100 today, as that dwindles down, they're not renewed and you don't issue another license. So that's not discrimination.
That's going on in East Bay Township right now.
Yeah, it's going on.
Okay, that would be basically what, like I said, what I'm trying to do is get this establish a cap. And then the planning commission would have to do some research on what to do this and then amend this so that unless you want to put in here now, that if a license expired, it's not renewed in certain areas, R1 being specific, to reduce the number of STRs here. But that's not the primary issue here. Primary issue here is getting this approved and adopted so that we can, that the succeeding board can basically take a look at this and find a remedy that's amenable to, everybody, well, not everybody, but, most of the people. So
I need to be
the
a
cap is arbitrary right now,
Yeah.
can be amended later.
devil's advocate. Have you set a number for the cap?
No,
Okay,
the licenses, like I said,
okay.
this license application period, once it's closed, that's the cap.
That's the devil's advocate situation. Word gets out that there's gonna be a cap established January 1, 2025. Many entities come in, I want a license, I want a license, I want a license, I want a license. Now it's way over because the initial cap is not set.
Okay. The application process basically would include, research into the history of, have you been operating a short-term rental at this location
Wouldn't that be
prior to
Yeah, you can't.
your
discriminate
application?
against Applicants.
That would be discrimination. My thought is it would be in the best interest of the community to set some cap immediately. But the cap wouldn't sit there and hurt existing licenses and let them dwindle out over time.
Right.
What do we have now, 100 or so?
I think you don't know. I think that's the problem.
We may not.
You don't know. I mean, when you talk to Milton Township, when they did theirs, the first year, they had 6 applicants.
Mhm.
6 the
Yeah.
first year.
I
So-
talked to them.
Yeah, so I'm saying,
Here,
you guys talk hundreds, Milton thought they had hundreds.
the
but only
city, the
6.
city of Charlevoix,
Milton
Allow-
has 61
the
permits.
city of Charlevoix offered self-registration for 2 years prior to the ordinance taking place. They received 250 responses. The first year of licensing, there was a 20% turnover at that time. They didn't want it. They just threw a license in the first year and they went, I can't do this. They didn't want it. There are currently 17 people on the waiting list in Charlevoix when I talked to them.
Well,
So
the thing
there's an
is-
issue everywhere.
If we throw an arbitrary number out there,
Their number is 80.
Are you concerned that it's a non-property owner that's applying for a license?
I don't have a concern, the concern is a cat. That there's no cat. That was
Well, I
a personal
understand, I
concern.
understand.
That's personal.
but that would be, basically something for the zoning administrator, code enforcement officer, provided this gets approved. Okay, would basically research, is this a new STR or is this an existing STR that's applying for a license? Okay, at that point, if it's new, put them on a waiting list.
After January 1st, 2025.
Right. So, like I said, you have this open period of 90 days. And, if somebody says, I want to turn my house into an STR. No, what we're trying to do is fix the cap at existing STRs. Where is that? Maybe we should.
Not easy to come up with a cat number. The person I was talking to in Charlotte, they wrestled it for many months trying to come up with a cat number.
You know, I'm all for not having corporations come in and buying up properties, et cetera, et cetera. I still have a concern. So, if I'm a property owner now, on Crystal Beach Road, I feel confident that at least I'm gonna have a chance to set this out correctly. But what about my neighbor down the road who leaves wills the property to their children? And 5 years from now, and their children are not well off, and they would like to, keep it in their household and their family, and all they wanna do is subsidize.
I have an answer for
All
that.
right, we're getting off topic here.
It is a small.
That can be tied, that transfer of the license can be tied to, if a property transfers, there is exemptions for when the property tax uncaps. You know what I mean? Like if I transfer it to my son,
Right.
it does not, the tax does not uncap. You could potentially tie it to that. It's MCL 211-27 something.
That goes one generation up.
I just dealt with that.
I mean, this
And
is.
it's very specific about who it doesn't uncap for. So if the property transfers and it does not, the property tax does not uncap, then this license could potentially follow that, and it would be very, very
So
specific and very.
he's saying upon the transfer of ownership, that the new owners, okay, apply for an STR, new license, is what you're saying.
Well, I'm just wondering if somebody, if their children, right, they die, and their children, do they have to apply for a new license, and then are they rejected and forced to?
The way it's written, yes,
For,
they do.
you know.
The license could transfer to the new ownership, okay?
That's
But-
not how it's written.
Well, that might be your intent, but if it's not how it's written, then
Right.
just, being respectful of family heirlooms, but we don't want corporations coming and buying it up.
I respect everything you're saying, okay? But it's not the responsibility of a township or a government entity to preserve a family legacy. It's not the responsibility.
But they should have the right to
No,
do it.
absolutely not. It's not the townships. They can preserve it, they have to pay for it. And say, for case in point, city of Charlevoix, every time property changes ownership, the license goes away every single time. Whether someone dies, whether someone sells it, whether someone wants to have it doesn't go, it stays with the city.
All the
City of Charlotte.
caveats that are put out
So-
here.
Okay, the question is, does the license
Yeah.
stay with the property,
This is cost.
or does it transfer? Or does it expire when the, owner, whether the property changes hands? That's basically it.
Yeah,
Okay, I addressed that somewhere. Transfer of ownership, license application.
So we still have a lot of question on the cap.
Okay, but anyway, yeah. Number of licenses. Okay, and basically on the cap is looking at existing STRs.
As of January,
As of January 1st. Okay.
which
Now,
means
the caretaker,
anybody can
we were gonna move
buy
this.
and start one
between now and then.
between now and then.
Item 10, we're gonna move. Yeah, that's the caretaker shall be available.
And I believe that actually
I think we had,
is in there.
I think we had it covered,
Contact information is I underneath applications.
right, where are we at, 603?
303, number one, all the way down to I, he's got contact information, please. Name, address, emails, 24-hour contact numbers for the owner and the property.
Okay, so-
You also have
remove
that in
item
D.
10.
You also have that in D, owner and caretaker phone numbers and emails.
Yeah, I understand that.
So you have that duplicated.
No, this caretaker shall be available.
Mhm.
Where does it say that? It
That,
doesn't. So what we wanna do is make sure that we can get a hold of somebody
yeah, I thought I read
down under I here
that. I thought
to
that was
respond
under-
to vendor and or neighbor concerns. In other words, we want them local.
Did you look for that under violations? Because I thought that was in there.
Yeah, I think under violations, I gave them like, either a 1 hour. Because if you're coming from Traverse City as a property
Under
manager,
contact, you'd have the property owner is responsible for the conduct of the renters. The license holder, or under 6.08, the license holder or caretaker representing the property owner must be available by telephone, and the license holder, caretaker, or their authorized agent must be physically located. They should probably be in that section.
okay. 608.
When notified of an issue of immediate concern by the township ordinance enforcement officer, yeah, it should be right there.
Is that redundant or is it, does it need to be moved?
I kind of think it's redundant.
Hmm? Okay. To me, then item number 10 is redundant. Back up here.
Oh, yeah, under violations in 6.12, item C. Failure of a license holder or his or her designated caretaker or their agents to be available in a timely manner after reasonable attempts to contact them. For issues of immediate concern. That is a violation. So it is,
Okay, so we just eliminate that, item 10,
or maybe add it to the standard
and
of
that was
conduct.
what, 6, we have it in 6 as well.
6.06 is conduct.
2. 6.06.
06.
Standards. Okay. The license annual fee, what's that annual? So everybody knows,
Yes, good idea.
500 per year per unit licensed. License application. Application for short-term rental license shall include the following at minimum. Owner name, address of the rental card and tax parcel number. Zoning district. Owner and caretaker. Contact info, signatures of the property owners and or caretakers.
And the attorney questioned that and or. And let me see, what did he say? He said something about, does that mean that the caretaker and the property owner have to sign? And if there are multiple property owners,
Okay,
do they
well,
all have to sign?
Here's what I was looking at there. Somebody that's out of state or downstate that hires a property manager to take care of his STR. Okay, the signature of the property owner on a license is required. The caretaker, if he's using an agent. If he's using an agent, we need a notarized letter authorizing the agent to act on behalf of the property owner. So that's why the and or is there,
Well, you don't say that anywhere.
okay?
So you have to state that. If that's what you're requiring, you have to state that. You can't just assume that they're gonna know that you mean that.
Okay, signature of property owners and or. But agent, caretaker is not, may or may not be the agent, and the agent may or may not be the caretaker.
So who's responsible for the signature?
The signature is the owner or the owner's agent. Authorized agent.
Owner's authorized agent. So you skip and,
Right.
skip caretaker, owner's
Or authorized agent.
authorized agent. And if you're requiring some sort of legal proof of
Right.
that, you want to, you need to say that.
There is a form for, basically it's power of attorney. And if you act on behalf, it's a limited power of attorney, it's a notarized, statement that, this person is authorized to act on my behalf in,
So with the application, which
Right.
this is defining what's on the application, you're gonna wanna say that you need to have on file document
okay.
Proving.
So
authorized agent or whatever.
actually,
Something.
I don't know if we want to put that in definitions.
They ask the attorney for that, too. City's attorney has. They have a voice.
So, an agent would be, do we need to put it in definitions?
I
It'd
think we
be
need to put it right
legally
this way.
authorized.
Well, yeah, I guess,
Okay, so I'll put, definition. Definition of agent. Okay, and, notarized.
and if that's going to be required, that'll have to be added to those.
Right, notarized document required. So take care of, letter E.
More edits.
Okay, number of legally conforming bedrooms in the dwelling, location of smoke and CO2 detectors, and actually, fire extinguishers should be on here too, but I think I covered that.
Yeah, I
somewhere
thought you
else.
had that somewhere else, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next one, location, floor plan showing location and egress routes in all bedrooms and locations, of fire extinguishers. Contact information, that would be the agent again, or
That's repeated from
caretaker.
number D, letter D.
Okay, so,
So you wanna just strike D and leave it at I, or put I up at D? Cause you don't need it in both places.
right,
I would say move. I
okay,
to
so
D.
so I becomes D.
Yeah.
Could the owner and contact be two different things?
What's that?
Could the owner and the contact be two different things?
Yeah. Yeah,
They both say owner and caretaker. So are you
No, we
saying
want-
that, D should be owner and I should be caretaker? Yeah. No, I guess just moving it to D that.
okay, I would move, I up to D and basically, see phone numbers for the owners and, of the property and or caretakers. Or,
Now, do you want to change the word caretaker to authorized agent?
the agent and the caretaker may not be the same individual.
Okay,
The agent would be, authorized to act legally on behalf of,
okay,
okay? The
Okay.
caretaker would be the local
somebody who works for,
contact. So what I've got here is contact information, name, address, emails, 24-hour contact phone number for the owners of the property and or the caretakers or authorized agent.
I would cut out and or, and I would just comma there, property, owners of the property,
Or the
Authorized agent
caretakers
or caretaker.
or authorized agent. So you got all the,
Right,
can't get all of the caretaker, call the owner, can't get all of the owner, call the agent.
yeah. I guess you'd go the agent.
Site
first.
plan including the location, number of parking spaces within the property lines. That's an issue. Septic and well status report. In the absence of having or being able to obtain a septic and well status report from the health department. Should I put county health department? Third party inspection report. From a qualified expert. Which would be basically a contractor or somebody from the health department.
Yeah.
Documenting the number of
Did
bedrooms,
have anybody say, I qualify?
the number of bedrooms that can be accommodated pursuant to county health department regulations concerning tank sizes and bedrooms. By the current septic system shall be provided. That puts a cap on your occupancy. With the initial application, renewal applications may rely on a prior report provided the septic system is currently in good operational status.
I would strike that line because I think that, upon renewal, it should be checked again.
I just heard from somebody else that is putting in a new septic, and they said, well, you know, storage tank in the town, in the health department said, no, we don't want to give out any more storage tanks. We would rather give you a subsized field for the number of rooms that are in there than give you a storage tank. So what they're saying, they're gonna allow smaller systems with more people living in it, rather than putting a storage tank. That's their new deal, because so many people with storage tanks don't check when they overflow, and it's a problem.
Wow.
But that's what they said. You don't have the space for it, well, okay, a substandard size field with a number of bedrooms.
That's
Well, they
from the
do.
health department.
They offer, they give out well permits too that are less than 50 feet from the septic.
So you're saying the health department is not following its own
Yeah.
regulations?
Exactly.
They've got the ability to override and grant special uses. Antrim County do that, but Castro well.
I guess that's a question of the health department, because if you're having it's for a renter, right? Like, if it's getting qualified, maybe you have 3 parties that is qualified, I mean, you actually don't want anybody, but the health department can tell you who's qualified contractors to inspect your septic and tell them, in this case, how many foot's good for.
So,
I mean, a special use would be different, right? Like my personal house, and I have no other way but to have a
Right.
small, that's different than me having a septic field that's too small and then renting it every week.
right, but basically what they're saying is, these non-conforming lots, they're gonna circumvent the growth. But the existing septic systems, all right, if they're I mean, somebody that has a septic drain field and a system in place now, that's what we're looking at, is capping now, as far as a special use for exclusions from the regulations for well and septic would be for a new system. Correct?
I mean, I've got jobs right now where we can't build at all because they're not allowing septic at all. So it's definitely an existing house that they're trying to accommodate.
Right,
It's not a new house that they're trying to do that, but.
but that would be for replacement of an existing field. So what we're dealing with here is what's in existence right now. Okay, so. All right, renewal applications may rely on a prior report by the renewal applications.
How often do septic systems get,
Evidently, every
Inspected.
5 years is what they recommend for, basically inspecting the tank. and
that's for
everything.
average household use?
Yeah, I mean, only when the house sells.
Right.
Every time you sell a house.
Okay,
The only requirement we have is point of sale at this point for inspection. There's many communities that, with their STRs, because they are police power ordinance, and they require a 3-year septic inspection. And, there again, I'm gonna go back to the non-conforming lots, the shallow wells and all that. It's not a bad place to start doing it in this community. I think it should be, everybody has to do that. I do.
So if we require renewal
It's
applications
not a big expense.
must provide a septic inspection report. In other words, if you're gonna renew this license every 4 years, you're gonna have your septic inspected every 4 years.
yeah,
Renewal applications must provide. a new septic Beach. Well, should ensure. Crystal Beach.
It's a step.
Every septic and inspection now comes on a 4-year cycle inspection cycle.
yeah, especially lakeside, you know, I guess.
Or
We want to protect our water,
Lakeside.
Riverside, yes,
Right,
anything to do with the water.
Right.
so that should read renewal applications must provide a new septic inspection report and just get rid of the rest of that one. Okay. No, I just had mine done a couple of years ago and it said, every 5 or 6 years or so, you should have this pump. Okay.
How many people do that kind of work in the area? Cause I know I got a call from the public guy. He had heard that we were into it with all the runners. And he was having a panic attack on the phone because he's the only one in the county.
Okay, I can't hear you.
I had a call from the Calcasas guy that does all the septic fields, checks all the septic fields in a panic. Cause he was heard that we were doing it with all the rentals at one time. He's only one guy that does it in the county for them.
Right,
So there's gotta be other people that we offer.
right,
We're
Savage,
not gonna be able to do it all.
Savage still does it,
We have a list, it's quite long, there's probably 10 names on there.
Good.
Antrim County, the health department has to do it, but in Calcasas, like Ralph's can do it, I mean, there's.
no, basically what we're looking at, I think in the language it said qualified expert, which would be
I just
somebody that
don't
handles.
want someone to go out and just get a random person to do it, and then they put in their application and say, oh, you're not qualified or whatever, so I think it'd be good to have a list of qualified people that can do that.
Well, then actually, the zoning administrator, county health department should know and provide a list of contractors who are qualified, to inspect. Septic fields,
The real estate agent probably has it already.
Okay.
right, okay. So license holder responsibility to inform the township of any change in license, application, contact information for the license holder, caretaker. With authorization. License holder. Authorized agent or caretaker.
There was some rewording of that. I think it was
It's,
from, the attorney. He said the license holder acknowledges responsibility. That's,
okay, all right, he's changing the
yeah,
preface here. The license holders. License holder. Acknowledges. Responsibility.
and then
That's
he,
basically,
he also talked about the ambiguity of your fees that you set forth there. There's no, amount given.
well, the fees.
And that the fees are established, no. I don't think that belongs in that section either.
I don't think we need, I don't know if we need any of that.
I think it just ends right there, it says township
Yeah.
fee.
That's what I did,
And
I
the
cut that right out.
Yeah, but everything from this ordinance down,
Pretty wordy.
yeah, that was some cookie cutter stuff that came out of the zoning ordinance. Okay, so
So you're-
fees are established and set forth in township fee schedule and this ordinance, period, that's it. Strike the rest of it.
Okay. So keep-
Okay, this all websites and other media where STR unit, where the STR short-term rental, let's spell that out. So, short-term rental unit is advertised.
And I know it's just probably, you know,
But
my organization, I would say that that is part of the beginning of your application process, so that should probably be moved up. But it doesn't have to be.
well, basically,
It's just information
that's
that
the
you're,
look, that's so we can go check,
right.
okay? Because.
So but it should at least be above the license holder amount acknowledges responsibility.
So you're saying, yeah, for a logical order,
Yeah. So I would just switch L and M. And put it just above that.
okay, so we just move this up. Okay. And that's basically, so, you cap the number of guests and, parking spaces, units for a particular unit. The zoning administrator can go check the advertisements and make sure that, the maximum occupancy complies with the ordinance. So that there's no confusion.
Gotcha. I wondered why you wanted that. I wondered why you wanted that.
Basically, because, the one Mr. Packer brought in was the one that said maximum occupancy was 34 people in a house on a 50-foot lot.
And so.
34 people, you would say would probably bring 17 cars. Okay, and I'm sure that the septic system installed in that house
Right.
does not handle that number of bedrooms. But that's what's in the ad. So, check it out and make sure that they're compliant with their capacity, on all their advertising with what's required in the ordinance. And if not, the license application is returned Say, fix your ads. Okay, or we won't grant you a license.
Or
That's why that's there.
suspend.
Yeah. Okay, limitations, R1 zone districts, here we go.
Oh, you also have the $300 application fee there.
Okay,
That's,
and the $500 registration fee has already been addressed, so the fees
and
are
that shows the
separate.
separate, okay.
Okay, for the period May 1st through September 1st in R1, but now these are suggestions from the public.
Yep, and I want to cross all of them off. My husband and I just toured Ireland and we went around the entire country and we stayed in a different Airbnb every night. There are people who travel like that.
Mhm.
And you're saying they're not allowed to come here because you have to stay 7 days. And we already talked about the
No,
fact that,
we eliminated the 7-day requirement, but
Right, yeah.
this has come up again. And the reason it's here, so we can fix
but
it.
yeah, I mean, this is, you've got number 2, the minimum rental length shall be 7 days. You
Right.
crossed that out already,
Right. So that's gone.
yeah. And this is dealing with our owner and operators and us trying to govern how long they have to utilize their business.
All right, the suggestion was put a cap on the number of weeks,
Mhm.
okay? To put a cap on. the
They all
number-
said that they only operate from May to October anyways.
Right, but. May 1st use an R1 only. Should we address the R1 situation in any of these matters?
I think any limitation you put on it is gonna be next to impossible to enforce.
Well, that's why it's here. Okay, from the public input, no property shall be used as short-term rental for a period more than 6 weeks and no more than 2 weeks in a forward period. That isn't gonna fly.
Mhm.
That's impossible to enforce. Okay,
I
unless.
do,
rented
I
for
think
1
that the township should try to enforce that.
Okay, suggested, no property shall be used as short-term rental for more than 12 weeks and no more than 3 weeks in a forward period.
Mhm.
That's also impossible to enforce. To cap the summer season on Crystal Beach Road was the objective here, I believe.
I get
You
it.
know, put restrictions on R1.
And I mean,
Okay, I think your hand was up first.
Again, I think we shouldn't cap the amount of weeks because you can have loud renters for a 2-week period, just the time when you're there.
Well, it says specifically from May 1st to September 30th.
But that doesn't make, nobody rents in the winter season anyways.
Well, some
Or
do.
hardly, not many. I mean, you.
Not
I
enough
think it's a
to
moot point.
cause us to have to
Yeah.
regulate that.
Right.
What I was gonna say is, I think we should enforce noise ordinances, the things that
Yes,
really create the
exactly.
problem.
We have
Not put limitations on, hey, I'm willing to endure 2 weeks of
In other
loud
words,
people. It's
this is
not- doesn't make
here.
sense.
To determine how much we interfere
Mhm.
with the summer season. Or if we interfere at all. Okay.
And you had something,
Getting ahead, Jake.
that's just your,
There's a
Yeah,
couple of
no,
ways you.
we only have 2 months out of the year that you can really rent out full time. And you're
Yeah.
gonna limit that, I mean, it takes, I know a lot of people think we make a lot of money, but we really don't, because there's a lot of care that you have to do. You have to pay people to take care of it. You've got construction people coming in and working on the house. And if you can only rent it for 2 weeks out of the month, you're not gonna make the money that you can pay the tax.
The question is should this even be here? No.
Shouldn't.
Mr. Packer.
There's a couple of ways you can go about doing this. You can either let a handful of people rent full-time, or you can let a lot of people rent a little. But in the situation that you're doing here with, you have uncapped amount of permits that are gonna go out before the end of the year. And if you're talking about not restricting the days that those licenses can use their short-term rental license throughout that season, then you've accomplished nothing. Because you're letting an unlimited number of licenses rent
Business in
full-time
R1.
through, so
That's what they're
you
doing.
gotta go one way, that you gotta either have a severe limit on the number of licenses, or you have to have a meaningful restriction on the number of days that those licenses can operate through the season, otherwise you're going nowhere. Calcasas was just at their meeting 2 weeks ago, they enacted an ordinance for short-term rentals, and they allowed 5 in their village, of which 1 will be in R1 in the entire village. So you gotta go one way or the other.
Calcasas, I don't think Calcasas is comparable.
Brian, you got something?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, I mean, the limitation and stuff, I know we use VRV on Airbnb all the time too, we love it. But I'm just looking at the neighbors' sake, right? In an R1 district, it would be nice to see, even if it's a 4-day minimum. What you're trying to avoid is the weekend warriors that are just,
Yes.
you know, especially in R1. To
So-
just have some type of a.
Basically-
40 minimum, you're eliminating
Basically,
college park.
the only thing that would be enforceable, and this would be, through neighbor complaints, and would be the 7-day or 4-day minimum or 5-day minimum in R1 only.
Well, when you get down a little farther, you're coming to the conduct and the violations and the
Yeah.
fines and fees that you're gonna, or even suspension of the license if they are not cooperating. So if people are renting and they are allowing those weekend warriors to come up and throw their big bashes,
So.
they're gonna get fined.
CA goes out and he writes a violation complaint, you get 3 of those, and we rip up your license.
Well, the new zoning administrator, I mean, if you enforce it 5 times, you'll probably eliminate it the whole rest of the summer.
Yeah, that's what we're, thinking. So if we're handling that part of it correctly, then this should not be a problem.
And see, that's the thing about the code enforcement officer, his primary duty is this. Okay, that's the only reason you're hiring an extra help from the zoning administrator is take care of this. So his specifics would be basically responding to complaints on Crystal Beach or anywhere else about violations to this ordinance, writing citations, we'll give them 5 ticket books. Go through and make sure that everybody's complying and not creating a disturbance in the neighborhood so that people can actually enjoy what they're doing there. Yes, sir.
The code to looking at the noise or the parties or that's important. But we're not addressing, because we're not addressing specifically the cap. And we're not addressing the time, because we're not addressing the pressure that's being put on this community because of the STRs. That's what we're not addressing. The noise ordinance did not address the pressure. Okay,
I understand.
Well, what
pressure
you're
that-
saying though is you wanna leave that house vacant. If somebody lived there full time, it would not be vacant for a week out of the year. Or 2 weeks out of the season,
those are
whatever.
different circumstances. The people
Yes
that
and
live
no.
there treated
Yes and
differently
no.
than the renters. Okay, and the Calcasas experience, you brought in Ireland. Is that appropriate here? Yeah, it can be. So can Calcasas, so can Charlotte.
Hmm.
Okay, they all can be appropriate. We just have to measure it. But I'm mostly concerned with everything that everyone's talked about, but the pressure that this community can possibly be put under when from May 1st to whatever, October 30th, everything's booked, which doesn't happen,
No,
but it could.
no, it's not booked.
Well, and you already have the cap in here, I mean, we just.
There's no number on the cap.
May first.
May first, it's here, number of licenses issued shall be capped on January 1st, 2025.
But from now till January 1st, there's no cap. There's no number.
Well, that's the existing, those are the existing short-term rentals.
There's no cap. is all I'm saying.
Well,
No cap.
the thing about it is,
Together.
uh, What we really need is a list of existing STRs. Anybody that wants to jump into this game, you put them on the waiting list.
You put that list out.
Okay, but right now, what I'm trying to say is, who do you shut down? And how do you do that? You pull a number out of the bag, you wanna put an arbitrary number on this. And you have more applicants than that number. Okay, now, who do you?
Yeah, so when I talked to Charlevoix, they did put an arbitrary number. Some wanted no number, others wanted 10.
Yeah.
They wound up at 80, and they can't tell you how. It was an arbitrary number. They had 100 and something. They let that all go, but the cap is so nothing could happen until they reach 80, and then more people can come in. So as homes are sold, as people pass away, as things change, that number gets reduced until 80 in Charlevoix. Here, it's that's 100 here, fine. If it's 95 here, it's 105.
All right, you're approaching it in a different way. You're going to set a cap, a numerical cap now.
Mhm.
Okay, and actually approve all the applications.
January 1st, and then.
Okay, and then, all right, that's what I'm saying. All right, there's the cap. All right, now if they want to move the cap back, that's not our decision.
No,
First of all, we have to know what we're dealing with.
We have no
So we
idea.
need that baseline.
see, in
Yes.
Charlotte, go ahead, sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
So you've heard this from me before. Outside of the comments that Mr. Williams just made, which I appreciate as a neighbor, as one of his unit givers. There's been a lot of talk in the last hour and a half, almost all, about how to accommodate renters and renters. I haven't heard any comments about how to support neighborhoods currently, which I was hoping this governing body would make as a priority.
As a government body, we can't regulate neighborhoods.
You are regulating. So I think outside of being really, really disappointed, I think it would be helpful to the people who are living here to be able to enjoy part of their summer. We have some rights too. We don't make money on property, and we're not trying to stop people from making money on property. But we have neighborhoods, by your own definition, I'm a legacy owner. I don't feel very protected from any of this. I'm hoping throughout the rest of this process, and I know there's public meetings and there's other things that have to happen before this comes through, that y'all have a little bit of time to think about what you're opening up to the neighborhoods. From what I'm seeing here, you've opened my neighborhood up to commercial business, which right now is a huge, huge concession that you're doing. Commercial business in an R1 is not allowed, period. Lots of things have happened in the past, doesn't mean you can't correct your mistakes. I hope that you give some thought to what you're opening up for the residents to support neighborhoods, to have community, to have volunteers, not just a bunch of businesses run all through the township. Hope you think about that.
That's actually what you have right now.
I'm hoping it would not get worse.
That's,
What I mean by you can't regulate neighborhoods is that you cannot force your neighbor to be the community that you want. I understand your vision for that, and small community is a beautiful thing, and I love that. But we can't force our neighbors to be that.
You're not even here.
I am
No,
so.
not at their Chicano.
I'm trying to see all sides. That's what I'm trying to do.
It's not the-
What we're trying to do here is enable this governing body to enforce some conduct and some rules. And in the future, basically remedy the situation that you're talking about by eliminating licenses as they expire or they're suspended or revoked. And bringing that cap number down to something, especially in R1. Okay, all we're providing is a tool with which we can use to do just what you're talking about. And if we enforce our noise ordinances and the rules of conduct in here, we can start weeding out some of these people and restore some sanity to not only Crystal Beach Road, but the rest of this township. That's what we're trying to do here. And I'm not ignoring you. And the fact of the matter is this would give us a means of operation to basically restore some sanity, especially on Crystal Beach Road. Anybody else? Before
Well,
we
there's several weeks out of the year in July and stuff, we don't even want to be at our place because of all the people. You know, I mean, it's not just the renters, it's all the people down there.
It's a sandbar, yes,
We're supposed to pay.
we own the sandbar.
To not be able to use it because it's not where you want to be, because
It's not that we own it, it's just
they
that,
can't stop all the people from coming down and using the access and stuff. So, you know,
And I want to remind people, I know that, have someone right next to me running, but it was much worse 15 years ago. They had, bringing the state police, they had a special force come in because everybody was coming from all the colleges and partying out there and free concerts and things like that. So
that's
it's
another issue, and that's the sheriff's contract.
yeah, but the thing is, I can see what they're talking about, because the Airbnbs are kind of infiltrating some of the other areas, not on Crystal Beach Road.
I think once we implement this and we actually have a code enforcement officer that his specific duty is to ensure peace and tranquility and general community welfare, especially during the summer season,
I
and
mean,
start
we have
writing some
proof that our
tickets.
house has been.
We're trying to make the owners, take some responsibility for the conduct of their clientele.
Right. And then I try to remind people too, you know, you can have, the long-term runners, but look how that's doing in Rapid City right now. It's not pretty.
it's not pretty.
It's not pretty. And you could have a drug dealer next to you renting a house and you're stuck with them for a year or more. So you gotta kind of think about what you're wishing for. And if we get the laws enforced and get these people that got rowdy people under control, maybe it'll be better for the neighbors. I'm telling you the truth, I wouldn't want on both sides of me either. It's odd having different people there all the time. But if you know you can call the police and get those enforced, which they should have been enforced in the first place, I think it's gonna resolve itself.
Well,
We used to have to come up during the 4th of July just to protect our property. That was a fact.
we also have some issues with that because that's coming up too.
You know.
The sheriff just asked for another $8,000.
I think
for
the
4th of
short-term
July.
rentals will be regulated far more than just the community itself. That's why everybody's screaming, why are you worried about this when the community itself is out of control?
Yeah, well, that's a separate issue.
I know.
Shooting that.
Okay, all right. What time is it?
It's probably
We have-
time enough to
10
stop.
minutes and I have one thing I want to say.
Greg needs plenty of time to get to the parade.
Okay, so now we're left with, do we impose, in R1, a minimum rental of 7 days, 5 days, 4 days? Try and keep the frat parties out of the summer houses. Okay,
Just in my short time, I found the people just coming for the weekends are a little bit more of a problem. When you have the week runners, it works much better.
right, well, that's what I'm saying, you shell out the money for a week here rather than, like half the price for a weekend. you eliminate some of the partiers that are here for 1 or 2 days, and I understand but this is R1 only. Okay,
Well, so are all the other places we stay.
It should definitely be at least more than 2 days, or 3 days or something. I mean, I personally have tried to attract the families, the grandparents, the kids, the grandkids, and
I understand, I understand.
5 days, 7 days gets that quality of group of people.
Okay, R1, if we require a minimum of 7 days in R1 only, that still makes available other short-term rentals in this community that are available for weekends and day trips or whatever. Okay, but we're specifically looking at basically Crystal Beach Road and R1.
May I suggest, if you want to stay with the 7-day minimum, to shorten the time period from Memorial Day to Labor Day? We have a lot of renters that come for a weekend in September, usually couples, like.
Well, I'm looking at Colors Weekend too,
And so
try
I
and hit
was
the peak.
thinking if you could shorten that period to really the main season,
So,
to Labor Day, and then allow shorter times that would help the community, because we have people going to restaurants and stuff. But it would still keep the 7 days.
Okay, so what I'm looking at, R1 only for the period of May 1st through October 30th. That would include colors, oh no, September 30th, or actually September, I'm trying to include Labor Day in here. Okay. May 1st through September 30th in zone R residential 1 only, the minimum rental length shall be 7 days. That covers the summer.
That's exactly the opposite of what I said. The issues we have actually in May and in June, we have usually couples that travel, like you do short-term travel, like stay for 3 days and they just enjoy the lake. They do that in the fall. They don't bother anybody.
Well, Memorial Day
They fill up
weekend
with their
is
vehicle, they buy their stuff at the village market, they go to restaurants, and then they leave. What I want to say is that you shorten the period where you,
So,
that 7
Where you're
week
limiting.
minimum requirement.
July 1st through September
Basically,
1st.
yeah, July 1st, or Memorial Day to Labor Day.
That's 4th of July weekend,
Memorial Day,
Memorial Day.
end of May.
Okay.
Memorial Day,
Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Labor Day.
They won't contest
Memorial Day weekend. You could say the Friday before Memorial Day to the Tuesday after Labor Day. That would cover it.
So that's not saying that they can only rent during that time, that's saying they have,
The restriction,
The 7-day
7-day restriction applies from the Friday
so that just needs
Prior to
rewritten,
Memorial
so that
Day.
that's what that says.
prior to Memorial Day
That would be,
to the Friday after, Tuesday after,
Labor Day.
Tuesday after Labor Day. And the 7-day minimum rental applies for that period of time. Okay?
In
that-
R1 only.
R1 only. So we can get rid of the public input and suggest it here
And
and
you can
reinstate the 7-day period for R1 only between these dates.
It'll just be one thing that says that entire thing.
Right?
That way.
Okay.
It's not confused.
How much of this we got?
Oh,
5
we
minutes.
need to stop because Greg needs to go.
Can I have a comment
Yes,
that is something other than it's
Sorry.
previous, okay? This goes, thanks for allowing this time. This goes back to, and is a great concern of mine, to trailers and RVs in short term should not ever be considered short-term rentals. It's an irresponsible act. It's a hazardous act. It's not in the best interest of Clearwater Township. Here's why. Travel trailers and RVs, well, they create a health hazard. It cannot be looked after. Sewage. There's no reasonable way to ensure that human waste being in the property taken
Okay.
care of and based on.
Can I stop you?
That's under capacity.
Okay,
No.
It says
not.
that overnight
Not a trailer.
occupancy in tents, RVs, campers, or boats.
The way this is written, you can have structure and up to 4 RVs on the same lot.
I was also confused by that.
You can't, that's the way this is written now. You can have 1 RV,
Okay.
2 RV, they're all licensed individually, the way it's written.
Okay,
Where is
if we can address this
Yeah.
we're not
we'll
finished
have to
here.
do that at the next
Okay.
meeting.
If we can address this, but what I'm saying is that the individuals I know, okay, are renting on a short-term rental basis, okay? Fifth wheelers, RVs,
And we can't-
I understand it. So what your point is, you want to eliminate them from the process?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Yes, sir.
We can address this,
Actually, tomorrow.
we can address this like, but now we've got a guy in Valley Road. He's got 4 campers on.
Is he R1?
Okay. He's in it, well, I think that's rec.
I mean, that doesn't mean he can't go. to
No, it's
township.
R1.
It's R1. Doesn't mean he can't go to the township and get a special use permit, right? Because he's been doing it forever, but
Yeah.
it should not be part of this to entice people doing more.
I understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, we didn't.
But it's not that it's not being done, because it is being done. I know that. I've had several complaints for years on this.
Yeah, I'm afraid between now and January 1st, 2025, someone can go purchase 4 RVs. I got someone down Arwood Trail that cleared land out to purposely do that, and they were stopped because they can't do a campground. But you
Well,
can't-
it says in 605, number 3, capacity limit, number C, underneath that, the overnight occupancy of renters in tents, RVs, campers, or boats during periods of short-term rental is prohibited.
But you can license a trailer. You
Yeah,
can license an RV.
That's his point.
So you're looking at the
Now,
licensing
we
section.
can pick this up at the
right.
next review. Thank you for your participation. I
Do you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate you people coming here and putting in your 2 cents for it.
Yeah,
because-
helping us to talk it through, it's great.
Yes, we're not perfect. Sue, you're
Thanks
concerned.
for allowing.
But this is what this is about in my mind. And maybe we're not. Maybe we're not communicating correctly as far as that, but this gives us the equipment we need to accomplish what you're trying to do.
Thank you.
Do you know?
I want the peaceful, quiet neighborhood too.
No, we'll probably set that up at our main meeting. We'll set another date and this is important. I wanna do it right. I really do. Okay,
There's Greg's.
motion to
alarm.
adjourn.
11:45.
Do you want the chairs put away or keep them on?
No, I'll leave everything away as it was.